Thanks for tuning in, everybody. What I wanted to do before you jumped into the next possibly 2 or 3 videos is just kind of give you an idea of what my thought process was. My friend and I, we just finished our last big game of ESR for a couple of weeks because, life. And I filmed quite a bit. Pretty much I just sat the camera down and hit record with very few interruptions and tried to edit out a few things here and there, but I think there was actually a lot of good stuff going on. I'm sure there's some pauses I didn't quite catch, some gaps that you could probably skip through on your own. But I thought what I would do is try and capture really just us playing ESR. There are a few points that we stopped because we specifically wanted to look things up, but in general, I wanted to just film the game being played, which did result in a rather long and lengthy video. So I thought to myself, do I just post the whole 3 hours or so, 3.5 hours, quite a bit, or break it up, or what would be best? I know some of you like really long videos, or don't care because you just let it play all day, pause it, come back to it later. Whatever the case may be, some folks, they just like small, shorter videos, watch from beginning to end. The problem that I've had in the past is when I take a video that's a one item and break it up into 3 or 4 pieces, people only watch like 1 or 2 pieces. They don't end up watching all the pieces. But at the same time, I've also put videos where just those few folks who like to watch a long video all the way through actually watch the whole video, and people are actually averaging like 9 or 10 minutes. So it's kind of like what to do. I think what I'll do is go ahead and bust it up into several segments, and then folks can watch in hour segments here and there. It'll just be quicker for my device to render, quicker to upload, and I think that might be just the better way to go. We'll see. I mean, if in the comments, if people are saying, oh, just post a whole 3 hours, 40 minutes, or whatever it is, then maybe I'll go back and just post at some point just one long, lengthy video for folks. I'm not quite sure if YouTube puts a lot of limits on things. But basically that was what I wanted to just put at the beginning, is this is going to be the first of several. Not the best at editing, so I'm not sure how they will all fit together if you play them back to back. I'll try and put them in a playlist, so at least maybe you'll have a better time finding all the pieces if they're in a playlist. But that's what I wanted to let you know, is you're going to watch over the next few days, because it might be a day in between as I get it rendered and uploaded. So every other day there might be an hour, hour and a half video that comes out, or however the timing comes down for that. But yeah, if I put them in a playlist, maybe you'll be able to then kind of watch them back to back. But it's part 2 of the game that we started last week, like the week before, like a couple weekends ago. Anyway, it's us finishing it up. And what I wanted to share in it before we start is, now that we've played the game a few times, it's actually very fascinating, the growth that we've had. I feel that we've had, and that's why I called it a journey from the very beginning, is because I wanted to chart kind of the progress it takes someone to go from, say, getting a box of figures. Now, the one thing though is my friend already has a lot of pre-existing figures, so we were playing. I did come up with some alternatives, and that's the bases with printed pictures on them until you paint your figures. We had the benefit of playing with my friend who's been collecting for a while, but if you do paint some figures and maybe do the pasted on graphics on your labels until you get everything painted, you could play right away with a starter kit. So from essentially a starter kit, rule, it did take us a few weeks to kind of put it all together. I don't have lots of free time, but it was interesting to see, from not knowing really much about the game at all, other than some of the little videos that they've posted themselves that trying to explain rules, because there's not a whole lot of content on YouTube for ESR. So I think by the time we hit this last segment of video, the last couple hours, yeah, I still make mistakes, but the thing is, it's amazing to see how a person can go from just trying to wrap their head around the concept and rules to playing, and now instead of trying to wrap your head around concepts and rules, you're wrapping your head around tactics, strategies, like how to make these things work. So kind of that adage, easy to learn, kind of difficult to master, almost fits to this, and trying to figure out how many formations we could comfortably command and do things with, and then, you know, with the formations we have, how best to use them to achieve formations. So I have a lot more thoughts that, you know, if anybody's interested, I'll probably do like a proper review of the ESR rules coming up as well, like a proper, as in having played it now, not just an overview or, you know, looking through the pages of the book and explaining how I interpret things, but actually sit down now and say, okay, here's some great kind of feedback. I would consider it great, but, you know, some feedback based on actual gameplay and share thoughts versus unboxing and opinions that I had learning the game and prior to playing. So if that's of any use to anyone, I will film that, and then, you know, you can have that and take that for, you know, what you want. I don't have a discount code this time yet. I'm hoping to get another discount code for anyone else who's interested in getting into ESR. I think David said he would make another code, but I'm just curious if you did pick up a starter box and use the code I had last time, counterproductive. I'm not sure what the code will be coming up or when I'll have one, but if you found that of any use, you know, I definitely want to tell that today, like, oh yeah, you know, a couple folks said they actually used the code and that was beneficial. Maybe we could get a code for like rule books. You know, there was a code for discount on some starter sets. Maybe we can get some codes for rule books, or, you know, because maybe you got figures, you just want the rules. So I'll see if what Dave has in mind. That's all up to him, and he's the guy who runs the company there at the Wargaming Company. But yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy the next few videos. I wanted to keep this short, but I have a tendency to talk a lot, so I'll cut it off here. Enjoy the next few videos of gameplay, and continue to share your thoughts and opinions on ESR. I'd like to hear what you have to say. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
And if you know, like if you need power or closer, isn't there a plug right along that wall?
Oh, there is. Well, welcome back. We're just kind of recapping from our last play. We're getting ready for turn 6. We heard you. No TV this time.
But there will be singing.
Yeah, there will be singing. So let us know what you prefer, the TV background or us singing, and we'll make sure to make that happen. We do got the air conditioner, but nobody complained about the air conditioner. It was just the TV. So hopefully we're good. Now, some things we were talking about, just as a quick little recap, is where we left off. My advanced guard was over here on my right flank. I had pushed some folks forward in the center, which, for good or for better, I really wanted to scare off his artillery, which they're now doing. I've got some folks back here that on the left flank deciding, you know, should they continue to push forward, which we can now because we changed the overall Russian objective to now that field over there. Again, for better or for worse. Then the idea was, because I had moved these guys up, it was just, we've been debating the idea of artilleries, how effective they really are, how scary they are. I mean, he threw over 30 points of artillery at me, and my Russians laughed it off, but if he even scores 1 fatigue, those fatigue points start to add up when it comes to assessment checks, and they can't laugh it off forever. So that's why I've been really worried about pushing people up to attack them for some capacity. So then he's got the French unit right there, which is his main forward element right now. And then he's got his cavalry section, and he's got one more unit back there. I would say one more thing for recap is we were talking about the idea of the bubbles for a defend area. So for example, I'm defending here, and what exactly does that mean? Where are the limitations of here? And what we've decided to do is, in the scale that we're playing, I guess any scale, you're 450 yards, 6 inches for us, because if you're in defend, you can actually attack out, like kind of counterattack out to 6 inches in the scale we're playing. So that's what we've said is, you know, if I'm defending here, then a reasonable bubble might be that 6 inches where you could counterattack from. So I mean, I could come up here 6 inches, or, you know, I could come back here within that 6 inch bubble. So we just kind of wanted a more defined, what is a defensible area? Where does that cover? Which even if you chose like a hill line we were talking about, you might say I'm defending this ridge. That still gives you a lot of, loosey-goosey feel is the term we were using. I get some freedom on where and how I want to defend that ridge, but it's not like I'm going to take advantage of it and say, 20 inches out, I'm deploying 20 inches away from the ridge line, but they're deployed that far out because they're defending the ridge line, right? We wanted to set a reasonable limitation on the defensive barrier for that. Before we get going, was there anything else we had discussed or wanted to clarify? I think that was pretty much it. No big rules mistakes that we're aware of. No one called us out on them, so we'll continue to, I guess, just chug along as we were doing.
Yeah. Well, if we make some and it impacts both of us equally, if we make the same mistake but apply that mistake equally to both sides, it's a wash anyway.
Right. Now, I did tell Tom, just for his privacy, I wasn't going to be filming him, so I'm only going to show the shirt. So I'm going to try and get this to... He found his Superior Vantage t-shirt. So we were debating at some point when he could call on that +2 for Superior Vantage shirt. So, because I don't have one. Oh, well. I think that's it.
You'll have to fix that.
Yeah, we'll fix
I have
that.
2 in case I ever lose this one.
Well, they're probably too small for me.
So if I put that one on over, do I get a +4?
I was going to try and fit one on. It wouldn't fit me. It might be comical. No, I don't think those bonuses stack. All right, I think I will move the power cord over. So give me a moment. I'm going to move the power over, and then we'll try to roll some dice. Okay, just a quick experiment. I lost my tripod in the move, or at least misplaced. So Tom said I could try this little tripod. So I'm going to put it here because I don't want to give anybody motion sickness again. But on occasion I can lift this up, get overheads, or move it in for close-up shots. But for a majority of what we're doing, I think that this little tabletop view is going to cover things pretty good, because a lot of what we're doing is just right in this area. So I think that looks pretty good. All right, so we are at the top of 5, turn 5.
Turn 6.
Turn 6.
5 is over.
5 is over. And one of the things, again, we've looked at this chart with you quite often now in the last game to follow along. I would recommend that you print it out from the website too and can kind of follow along. That way we don't have to keep moving the camera around. But we're going to start at command activate order. I don't think any of us issued an order previously.
Nope.
Which would then be issue order. Do we want to do an order now? And I want to double check where I'm at. These, before I start pointing at stuff here, I've got my 1st division. They are on a defend of this area. Oh, but I think I might issue them an attack, which wouldn't happen now, but it's me. I'm now sending my couriers through with an attack because I want to push up now so I can start getting up at those artilleries and bring the fight to him. It's not very defensive of me, but I really, really don't like artillery. The only problem is, and this is what Tom and I were talking about, is if I push up with the main body, the artillery that's attached to him that you can't see through the tree, but they got the artillery on the other side. The problem with that is the artillery is going to be left behind, and I would then lose my benefits of having friendly artillery with them. The only way I could really take advantage of that would be if I could shift the artillery that's over here. But again, they're deployed right now. So I'm one of these I'm going to have to uproot if I want to move that line somewhere else. So that's kind of where I'm debating on that. Do I just push my infantry forward without the artillery for the moment, just so we're not getting attacked? Did you want to issue any orders, Tom?
No, I do not. Right now, the way I am set up is these individuals had a previous move order, but had converted to defend when they got within the 450-yard limit and had to stop. So they're going to stay right now on that order. My other division is still on a move order, and I am still good with that. The cavalry is on a support order of the reserve artillery battery, but had taken advantage of an evade option when your division came up and kind of contacted them. So it pushed them away from the side of where that reserve artillery battery was located and moved them behind. And one component of that reserve artillery got a retire order and moved over here. So far I'm good with that too.
I think I'm going to go ahead and leave them on defend, because I can have convert when it comes to order conversion, and just go ahead and push some folks forward to engage, and then eventually.
Infantry don't order convert, but when it comes to move,
yeah,
you can counterattack things within 450 yards or 6 inches.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So they can come. Some of them can come out to do a localized.
Yeah, that still isn't
counterattack.
good though. So yeah, because I want to have support. So I think what I'll do, and I've decided. It took me a while to decide. So what I'm going to do is go ahead with my first division over here. I'm going to go ahead and issue them. I'm going to issue them the attack.
Issue on turn 6, beginning of turn 6.
And then we'll see if it activates on the turn 7. So it's issued. We just don't get to roll for it yet to see if it all makes sense. It takes time for those things to go through, but you know, it is what it is. And then over here, I'm going to go ahead and issue them, and I was going to put them on move. So move, they'll have to stop when they get within a certain distance of the enemy, but I figured if I did attack, I didn't want them to interpenetrate, what do they call it? I didn't want them to run through my own people to try and get somewhere, because attack, you have to take the shortest route. Move, you're still trying to move towards the objective, but I can be a little more maneuvering to move around my existing troops to start to move up. So issuing them a move, issuing him an attack, they're already on attack, so they'll just continue doing what they're doing to try and run into people.
All right.
So I'm done.
So speaking through that, just so we're on the same page, on a move order, that formation will have to go directly toward the force objective by the shortest possible route, because they're deployed. Right, so they're gonna wherever from here to, you know, I guess the field that you selected as the new objective. If they were still deployed, then they would be able to snake around, intervening terrain or terrain that would slow them. That gives them, I think, a little bit more latitude on the kind of the course they can take.
So ployed, they could be more snaky.
Okay. Yeah, ployed, because they're marching toward the objective.
Well, either way, I'll be able to still maneuver in such a way that I think I don't have to worry about everybody colliding. So that would be okay. Because you don't have to move the full distance either.
You do.
Oh, you do move on the...
I think on a move order, you're moving the full distance toward the objective until you get within a set distance of an enemy formation that might be between you and your objective.
Well, if it's the same, I might as well just put them on attack. That way they can actually push all the way through to touch an enemy instead of stopping short.
If it's the same. Or maybe you put them on support. And then they can follow behind or to the side of whoever you decide to say support.
That might be better. That might be better. I forgot there was even a support option. Let's do that. I'm going to put that group on support. That way they can move alongside and then eventually engage the enemy. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So my first division over here will be getting an attack order coming up. They're going to stay on attack, and those guys will get support. And then you didn't make any changes.
I did not make any changes.
Okay, so orders issued.
So one question for support that we might have to look at, because that is a mixed formation, and a support order allows cavalry to convert to an attack, I believe, at order conversion if there's somebody within, I think, a 1-move range. How does that work in a mixed formation where you have infantry and cavalry together? Because the infantry aren't converting to attack, and only says cavalry can make that convert. Or maybe in support, maybe it has something about like an avant-garde mixed formation conversion. That's one thing we'd have to probably look at.
So formations on support directive may convert to either attack or defend. Cavalry of formations converting to attack or immediately move to contact with an enemy within 1 full movement of their front 45-degree arc of the formation. Infantry of formations converting to an attack may move to contact with enemies within 450 yards of their front 45-degree arc. So they can, just not as far.
Okay.
So
they can, just not as far. Cavalry is going to like
the whole shebang.
Go on a whole move, and infantry
kind of plods along because they walk.
Yeah. All right. Okay, then.
Perfect. Excellent.
Leader actions. I think I have some of those.
Okay.
So we're going to go. There might be several of them. The French is going to do. So Ney is a bit nervous about that 12-pound battery sitting out there with Russian infantry formation bearing down on its flank.
You're talking about this group over here.
I'm talking about Ney is a bit nervous about his 12-pound battery with this Russian formation starting to bear down on its flank. Now, he likes the firepower it was putting down on that other Russian formation, but losing 12-pounders is a hard pill to swallow. So, to kind of get out of this situation, he's thinking, I'm going to recall that dang battery. And if I go out there and say recall battery,
we're looking at leader actions. If you're playing along and you've got the book, let's see, where's our actions? That's on page 14, section 3.8.6, recall an artillery battery.
It's either going to be a recall or maybe a displace.
Okay. Which would be the same page as 3.8.7. So you can recall the committed. I'll just read it out loud for those that might not have it here while Tom thinks it through. So recall, the leader action recalls a committed artillery battery to the formation's reserve. This leader action requires a leader action test using the order activation and leader action table. If the leader action test is successful, limber the chosen committed artillery battery and place it in the formation reserve. Okay, so that's going to pull it all the way back for him. Well, to the artillery reserve area. It's a
reserve artillery formation, so I'm making an assumption that when this got to retire and had to go back, I guess technically this is the reformation area.
Yeah, you're in there.
There's no formation reserve per se.
That's right, because your artillery was
the reserve.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking it was going to go back to the reformation area. That's how I was interpreting that. Where else would it go?
Yeah, well, that is the optional. As a matter of fact, the optional rule says, allow the recall artillery battery leader action to move the selected artillery battery into the formation's reformation area instead of its reserve, and by doing so remove one artillery fatigue from the formation. So you could do that because it's an optional rule as far as the recall, but then displace for those reading with us. The leader action limbers an unlimbered committed artillery battery, allowing the battery to now move during the movement phase. So this leader action requires a leader check, yada yada yada. Limbered artillery batteries do not require leader action to move normally during the movement phase because they're now just limbered up and ready to go. Uncommitted artillery batteries in the formation reserve trail behind the formation within 225 yards of the formation's rear wave. So yeah, he can either just uproot it and have it move with him and position it how he needs it, and then, you know, put it down again. Or if he wants, he can recall it back to his reformation area.
In this case, the recall is probably the better option, because that artillery reserve formation currently has one artillery fatigue on it. If recalling him then brings him back to the reformation area and then removes that one fatigue, then he's back to no fatigue.
That's a bonus
battery,
for you.
so that's a bonus. So I'm a C.
Okay.
And
let's look at some
I'm
bonuses
a plus
here.
one, and I am telling a artillery guy who's a B, who's up there with his battery, to bring that dang thing back out of there.
So he's a plus 2.
Get it into the artillery reformation area. So that's a plus 2. So I'm a total of plus 3. However, I've got one fatigue. Brings me down to plus 2 again. And I got an enemy within 12 inches of me. Well, I got an enemy within 6 inches of me. Well, party. Well, I don't know. Maybe my party is, one of the parties is within
somebody's
6
within
inches.
6, yeah.
So I don't know if that's, this party isn't, but this other general certainly is, if I'm the guy he's talking to.
So
All right, so I got plus 3s, but because of the fatigue and because of
it's now in the minus 1s.
Yeah, I'm in a minus 1 situation. So I got minus 4. Maybe that's not the first thing I want to do though.
And the reason why he says that, if you're just tuning in, yeah, if you fail a roll, you stop all leader actions. So he wants to find his freebie actions first.
Yeah, I want to find something that's got a higher chance of success if I want to do it. And I'm not sure there is something. I can get this artillery battery at least out to the front line, limbered, not unlimbered, so I could get that artillery out into the line, ready to move with the troops. That's probably not a bad idea. That would still be a C, telling a B, so that's plus 3. Alright, so I got plus 3, plus 2 for Nay, plus 1 for Nay, plus 2 for him, no fatigue on that division. Oh, and committing it out of the reserve, that's plus 2 more. So that's a no failure. Even if I rolled snake eyes, it would still be 7, because there are no minuses. And he's just coming out.
And that's for let me bring this up so you can see. I pushed the wrong button while I was moving here, but we're going to show you what he was doing.
He is committing, but he's not unlimbering.
And what he's doing is he's talking about his group in the back is where he's checking that, pulling the artillery out, right? It was
kind of out of the reserve.
Yep.
Committing, but not unlimbering. So committing limbered so he can move when the move comes up.
And that was something that Tom and I were talking about earlier, is like, how early should you bring your artillery? And we were debating that, and we actually kind of figured it, bring it when you can, because you don't have to unlimber it immediately. But if you never bring it forward, it will never have a chance of being used. So because he's brought it up, it's now on the front line, and when he's ready, he'll just plop it in place. It's ready to go. But if he never brings it forward, I mean, yes, it's a leader action test, but he's got good results, so he's going to easily be able to call that forward.
All right. So here's one of these things where I need more pluses to successfully say, hey, recall that battery. And I'm trying to think of how I do it. So
Now,
I go over there and
yeah, I was
take
going to say,
personal
you
command,
could take personal command.
and then I get the +1 for C and +1 for giving the order to myself, and I still get the +2 for the B. Then I've got +4s. Then I got -4s because I've got -3s,
Yeah.
and I've got 1 for T. But that's a wash. I mean, that's a little bit better chance of making it happen.
But then there would be penalties. Well, I don't know how much, but to detach him then to go do other stuff, you would have to roll, and
Well,
and it might not.
I don't think I'm detaching him. If I fail that roll,
If you fail it,
if I fail, I think he's
then
going to
he's-
be sitting
then
there
he's
with
stuck.
the artillery
But so-
battery, and
yeah.
I'm going to say, well, now I'm going to get the +2 combat rating that I might need.
so that might be a fail forward for you then. That might be a good thing, because that was something else we were discussing was these leaders. So his leader has a command rating of C. I thought it was higher than that, but his French command rating is a C, which is not the best. But he has a +2 tactical rating. It's like something. Oh, here's this. And so if he attaches his folks, but his nay to his group, then they're going to have a nice boost to their combat. The only thing is that we both kind of are wary about is that leader fate. Rolling snake eyes twice in a row to just kill the guy outright is pretty rare. It's just that it's happened to Tom. So we're both have been very wary about attaching our leaders like that. But in this case, if he really wants to be successful at making his rolls over here, attaching that guy to give even just a little bit extra bonus, he's got to really make that, how important is it that he recalls that artillery? These are the tough decisions of a corps commander, a force commander. Well, I'll pause it here while he thinks about it. That way I can do less editing later, because I'm lazy. All right, so yeah, after much deliberation, Nay is moved up there. So the thing that we were thinking was, if he, one, how worth it is it to attach up there, because it's a difference of rolling an 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, or a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. But the good news is, if he makes the roll, Nay will go back with that artillery piece, because that formation only had 2 artillery pieces. If it had been the formation next to him, that would be a significant thing if he got stuck there or whatever. But yeah, I think this is the best decision for him, because even if he fails that roll, at least he'll be attached to the artillery to help inspire them to better fighting. All right, I can't zoom in.
Here we go. We're like, I need someone to blow on these dice.
Yeah, let me blow on them.
I'm looking. Yeah,
I'll send some bad luck.
I need some help with this.
7. Oh,
but that's good enough.
That is.
Because he attached.
Because you attached.
The old white. So if I did not attach, I would have failed,
Yep.
and he would have been.
But that worked out for you.
So these guys limber up,
ta-da!
go to the reformation area, and
lose that one fatigue.
Lose 1 artillery fatigue.
I was so happy when I put that fatigue on, because that's -4 in the artillery skirmish for their overall effectiveness. But now they're back up to fighting strength.
And here he is, gone, ran back
ta-da.
with them. And I guess, I don't know what the heck this guy does. He'll move later. Like, he'll move back to his battery. All right. So the next thing Nay wants to do is, I want to detach from this. So I don't need to be attached anymore.
Which is good for you now, because you're out of range of the enemy troops.
I'm out of that 6 inches.
How's your
now.
12 though? That's a -1.
But I'm not within 12. It depends where I put them. But
It depends where
even
you
this
measure.
formation area would have been, I think, about within 12. Or 10. Him to him, I'll get some pluses, like I'm a C, telling a C that you know, you had enough cup of coffee, the guys did what you needed to do. So C +1, telling us C +1 to get your ass back out in the line to do what you need to do with the rest of your command. But there's, well, I don't know when the fatigue comes
Well,
off.
you could try to rally him right now, and you're attached before you try and detach.
I got to rally that battery anyway.
Yep, got to rally it back. I mean, you don't have
I
to
got to
rally
the other, not
the other
one
one
here. This one
right.
needs to get
He's
rallied.
fine. He's just normal. But the other guy, because he had to do an evade last time, or he had to retire, he
Yes.
has to be rallied. But since you're now, we had looked it up, and it doesn't look like you have to be attached to do a rally. Only if you do the inspire. But since he's here in the Reformation area, he might as well take advantage of his presence to talk sternly to them, to whip them back
to
into
read them
action.
an inspiring note
Yep.
that I happened to whip off while I was in the saddle, riding back, you know, these 900 yards or so.
Right.
A thought occurred to me that maybe I should say something to these guys. All right, so if I'm rallying a formation,
That's
I'm a C.
your
I'm
one.
still in personal command of this formation.
So that's
So,
yeah. That's the formation.
I'm thinking I'm still getting the formation's actual commanders.
Right,
B,
and he was a B, so that already puts you at +4.
That's +4, but I am still within 12 inches of the enemy.
Yeah, right. So, but that's only -1, so you'd be
+3.
+3 at this point.
And when I put that battery, technically I don't know when that fatigue point comes automatically, because it was part of the rule that if
I
put
say
them back, it
automatically.
just came off and,
Yeah, I say automatically.
all right.
I'll go with
So-
automatically because you came back and they got their coffee.
So we're +3 to this roll. And
6 + 3
does
attacks.
it, so
He's rallied.
he's rallied at least. Can't come out of the reserve, can't rally and commit in the same turn, but here we are. So both batteries are now in good order again, without fatigue. We'll have to commit them out of the reserve again, but hey, both batteries saved.
Yep.
Now, May, time to detach. May, I got something else to do. Now this time it's a C to a C, a +2. I'm within 12, minus, so it's a +1, I think, is all I got to get out. Don't fail me now, purple dice.
Oh,
yes.
They're doing good for you. We should get you some blue dice for French.
All right, so once I'm there, I think I can move up to a half a move to somewhere else. God knows where I want to be. I do not know. Out of the way a bit. I'm not going to be attaching anywhere else. I'm detaching, going there. I do not think there are any other leader actions that I want to take at the moment.
Okay. Then for myself, I'll do a couple leader actions. Now I think leader actions. I think movement's the only thing you do simultaneous. I mean, combat it's a simultaneous, but I think leader actions are best if you don't do simultaneous because you can't keep an eye on what the other person does. But I don't know if the rule says leader actions are simultaneous. I only bring that up because some people are very time conscious with how long it takes to do things. So I guess if you had a referee, it would be very easy for both players to be executing leader actions. But I waited for Tom to execute his leader actions. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple leader actions. Ooh, and again, I think why that might be important is because now that I've seen what he's done, I could react to him. Because I didn't see anything that said you had to roll to see who does anything first. I kind of get the impression a lot of this is all simultaneous.
Yeah, I would say, but
just out of the way we happen to play it, I'm going to go ahead and put my artillery on the displace, and get ready to have the artillery move up with the troops. Gonna bring them, but that's leader action rolls. And I have to decide which one to do first, because again, if I fail, then we're done. I don't have any other leader actions that I want to do specifically, so we're just going to go ahead and try to bring some artillery. I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. I think my bonus or the penalties would be the same because they're both within 6 inches of someone. Right. So it doesn't matter which one I start with. But let's look at my bonuses here. Oop, I'm going to drop the tripod. Let's see here. Here we go. Alright. Hopefully nobody's got whiplash yet. Alright, so my overall commander is a B, so I'm at a +2. First division, he's a C. I'm not personally attached, so I'm only a +3 there. But I am within 6 inches of the enemy, so that's a -3. They have no fatigue. I don't have the T-shirt. You forgot your T-shirt bonus.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not calling that as a.
That's generous of you. That's generous. Thank you. So I think I'm at a 0 as well. I think he's a wash. It's just a flat 7 that I need, and then that will let me limber him up. So hopefully you can see the dice roll. Oh, good. I rolled an 8. So I'm going to flip them so they can now move. And I'm going to check for the other artillery piece. It's going to be this different because attached to the second division, he's a B as well. So I'm actually going to get a +1 to the roll. So it's a +1, but it's not enough. I rolled a 3, +1 is 4. Now a person might say, yeah, that's not going to. Yeah, I don't think that's an or. I don't think that would be delayed.
No, it's just a failed.
I'm just going to say it's a fail.
Stop.
Yeah, leader delay order is half, but a leader action is just a failure. So that artillery is going to stick there. So I'll just have to decide, do I leave them behind and rush my infantry forward while they're still packing up stuff, or stay with the artillery? This other group, though, free to go. All right, I'm done with my leader actions.
They will be free to go, I guess, when you roll to activate that order that you changed them to. So I guess
that's right.
This turn,
That's true.
I'm okay.
You know, now that you mention that, it's like, yeah, well, okay. So the people who like to ask comments like, what would you do differently? Tom just pointed out that he switched my coffee with Folgers. So I just uprooted my artillery. I'll have one full turn of no support. I should have rolled that the next time when I activate to see if they could actually advance and move forward. So did I make a oops on that? The answer is yes. We'll see how that affects things later down the road. Plot twist. Okay, well then I guess I'm done.
Leader actions are now done.
Yep.
Order conversions.
And that was the big thing we were talking about, is what do I do with the infantry, because they could counterattack something within the 450 yards and a 45 degree. Did I need to change them to an attack? I said yes, because I want to bring everybody, not just the people that are within 6 inches. So I technically could have people go forward, but again, they wouldn't be supported, and they'd be facing a lot of angry French people if I sent just my 2 or 3 forward. So I am not going to, yeah, even if I do it off my seconds, they're on attack. So I have no order conversion for them. So I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to say no order conversion for me.
I have no order conversion either.
Okay.
And so that brings us to move,
which is simultaneous. Now, just while Tom's looking something up here, my thoughts are, 1, that division's on defend, so they're not going anywhere. I've got that division on attack. That is probably the only movement I have. And yeah, I think from what Tom was saying, since they are deployed, they might have to move, which means they are leaving their artillery behind. So if I could redo things, I should have rolled for them, you know, if I had that 8, because that way his artillery would come with him, because he's on attack.
Well, his
they're on defend, waiting to do support, so they're not going to move either. But they're on attack. So if I move them, they're going that way.
You're going toward this field.
Yeah, but just they're going to be without their artillery. So I should have swapped that successful roll.
Here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're on a move.
But Tom's on a move.
You're on an attack.
Yep.
You're coming here. My move is getting me sort of out in this direction. Somehow I think there's going to be some convergence right about here.
Yeah.
If you're coming this way.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are on support. So now they're supporting the battery. So this is going to get a little crowded because, well, I'll do the easy move first, right? Nobody will probably say anything about the artillery commander making his move to come back to his battery.
And you could even point out for us if he should have moved back when both of them moved back without, but he's there now.
And then on support, since they fell back to the reserve area, this support, still on support of this battery, should come back either to the side or behind. It's got to be one of the two. And what I'm going to do to make the space, I don't think they'll impact anything. I'm going to choose the to the side option. Kind of frees up the space because you're coming in this direction. Now these guys are going to go, well, they'll have the movement rate for these guys is 15 inches. But you're going to get some rough, I think, 2 to 1 will chew up a little bit. But they still have, that's 15 from the front, and even if they got chewed up at least, 4 or so inches, could still get out about that far.
Are any of them light?
Yep.
Because you could push them further forward if you wanted.
Not light. They all look to be line infantry.
Okay.
So much for that. You guys can go 15 inches too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So if you're ahead 7.5, and I go ahead 7.5, and you go. If we're doing prorated movement, I think we wind up being
right about there.
Right about here.
I think you're about right.
All right. I don't know what you're going to do, but you got to come in this direction. You'll get out about that far. These guys were in trail.
Okay. And I'm going to put the camera down because I got to move.
Yeah, he's in
the
wave here somewhere. And his reformation
Sorry if you're
area
looking at that.
moves.
In fact, let me just turn the camera off. I'll come back after we get done with movement.
Okay. On a defend, yeah, this is when a formation on the defend directive that's 900 yards or more from the enemy and didn't have an assessment the previous turn gets to take a fatigue off. All right.
Yeah,
so I think we did it correctly with that leader action. It came off right there.
And that's what I unpaused for a second. We were just confirming that because we're done with our movement, and I'll tell you what we came up with here. So I went ahead and moved my 2nd Division up, and they're squared off now with those front elements of that Russian division there, or French division. And I've got one of my battalions is supporting these two here, but he's got a lot more French there, so that's kind of scary for me. But when we got done with movement, then the idea was anybody who was on defend could get off 1 fatigue. So we were just making sure that the fatigue of recovery for our artillery when they went back to reformation, seems like that was legit. It came off at that point and not in this step. The defend step fatigue recovery is pretty specific, that it's just units on the defend a certain amount of distance away from the enemy. So I think we're good. But that's all the movement that we had at this point, because I'm still on, these two are still on defend, and he did push forward with his attack. So yep, I think that was that. So if we have no more movement, it would be ploy and deploy.
Yep, and there is none.
And then that was the fatigue recovery, so we're done with that. So now we're on to artillery and skirmish.
And so I guess in this case we are still effective doctrine light 3, effective doctrine line 2, effective doctrine line 2. Those are the only ones within the 6-inch range. 3, 5, 7, and a 6-pound artillery piece with 8 guns. So 4 sections, +1 each. So that'd be +4 more onto the set. So +11.
Much better than the +30 he had previously.
Well, I cut him down because you scared the artillery.
I did scare the artillery.
But at least I know I'm going to get at least 1 assessment.
Yeah, that's all that matters, really.
+11 and 2d6 is, well, that's only going to be 19.
So that's still just 1 assessment. And only -1 on the assessment check. Now, when I checked my guys, I'm also effective, but I don't remember, I don't think any of these were any of these guys light?
I think they're all line.
I think they're all line.
I think you got 2 that were within range. That battalion and that battalion.
And so that's +2. So I got +4. And then because I picked up the artillery, because I was thinking ahead, I think I only have a +4.
Let her rip.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I think that sounds about right. Okay, so let me grab some dice here. So 4, I got to get a 6 if I want to force an assessment. And we rolled a 7, so that's an 11. So we're each forcing 1 assessment with a -1.
All right, so I'm going to roll leader fate.
Okay.
No snake eyes.
No snake eyes, and then I'm going to roll leader fate. No snake eyes for me either.
All right.
And then we can look at the assessment chart here.
Assessments. That's up there in the 1st division. I am
pop this down for you all.
+2. No outflank. I got the -1 for the 10 points, so now I'm down to +1. I got 1 fatigue.
Flip it over.
Now I'm at 0.
Okay.
Your enemy batteries
packed up,
so I don't think I care about that. But I do have a friendly right by me.
You do.
Who helped out, so that goes with a +1. And I've got no formation kind of special bonus. So I think I wind up at being
I think it's +1. So if I hold the camera up, we'll see.
On the assessment.
This is to see if he gets any 5.
I suck when rolling assessment.
There it is.
So 3, 4, and a 5. I think that's going to net me another fatigue. Yep, it does.
Yep, a fatigue. It's amazing what the assessments can do. All right. Now, my leader, because that's the 1st division, he's a C. My 2nd division, the one in the big fight's a B. But okay, so C, so that's +1. I'm not outflanked, but there's the -1 because you had 18 or 19 against me. So I'm at a 0. We didn't do losses. I don't have fatigue. This could very well be my first fatigue, so I'm still at a 0. However, they're out of 6 inches.
I am out of 6 inches. You're not that close.
So even though he's got his artillery with him, they're mostly doing a nice bolstering of support. So I'm at a I'm at a 0.
Because you got no artillery support.
I got no
So
artillery
kinda-
support. So yeah, I'm just we're just winging it. So I have to roll a 10. Otherwise, so far I've been very lucky with my assessment.
Before you do that,
yeah.
make sure, because I think you're stoic. Did you can?
Oh.
Well, you're not on. Are you?
Yeah.
Still
No.
on
Oh, they're
defend?
on defend. Yep. They're
Because you
still a
do
defend.
C with a +1.
And stoic. Yeah.
And
These are the.
you have no artillery.
Oh no,
support.
it's. Oh, you know what? Were we giving stoic to everybody?
Only on defend.
But no, I think they're the only ones that have a S1.
That's S1.
Oh, that's shock.
Shock.
Oh, where's my
Stoic
stoic?
is it'll say ST or something under formation characteristics. All the Russian infantry should
Oh,
have that.
okay.
ST.
I'm looking. I somehow lost sight of it on the chart, but yeah, he's stoic.
So do the C for a +1.
But no, that's.
-1 for the 10 points, so that's 0.
I don't think that's them. They don't have stoic. Oh well, no, yeah they do. No, I'm misreading. I'm sorry. Reading comprehension is hard. They're both stoic divisions. So yeah, they get a +1. English is hard. All right. So I'm at a +1.
So the leadership and the group of 10 wiped each other out.
Right.
The battery was further than 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, per enemy battery with this formation in arc, in short range, -1, enfilade fire, -1. Okay, so nothing there. And you're stoic.
I'm stoic,
So
yeah.
I guess you, looks like
So,
a +1.
Yep. Barring my reading and comprehension failure, I rolled a 9.
A 10
Plus
again.
1 is a 10.
I never do. I'm
Yay.
sitting here I'm putting firepower on you and getting nothing
Woo. Lucky them.
out. Okay,
Oh, there's that.
so here we go.
There.
Next, we have some artillery and skirmish up here.
Right. So I'll just lift
And
this
now
up.
all of these are line infantry battalions, but they're effective doctrine, and everybody within 6 inches is going to count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Okay. And if I do the same, because I don't think I have anybody light, I think it's all line. So for me, it would only be 2, 4, 6, 8.
All right, so +8, +12. I don't think there's anything else. No artillery's deployed anywhere helping anybody out.
No.
I mean, I have artillery.
You got one, but that'll be
That's-
for an assessment modifier, right?
Is committed, but he's not unlimbered, so
Right.
nothing going on there. All right, so +12.
Oh, okay. What did he get? He rolled a 4 plus 12, 16. So that's
Yep,
still
that's still one.
one assessment and -1 penalty. So again, I had a +6. I think I said
2, 4, 6.
8. So if I roll a 12, that'll be 2, a -2 penalty. Oh, okay. So that's
So each
14.
one assessment.
One assessment and a -1 penalty.
All right, leader fate.
Okay.
I'm up there. No,
Oh,
I
you
don't
rolled good
have
on your leader
anybody.
fate.
I'm not getting killed this time.
I'm still alive.
All right, so my assessment this time, I'm a B. Resu, good old B, +2. Got a group of 10, so -1, so I'm still +1. No friendly batteries or enemy batteries. This division has no fatigue. I think I'm a +1.
Okay. Let's see. Well, he rolled one over here. 4, or that's a 3.
Yeah, I'm good.
So I think you
I'm
got
10.
You got a 10. Okay.
No fatigue.
Now I'm very similar though, but this is my B, so he's a +2. It's -1 because you had only one penalty there, so I'm at a +1, and still no fatigue. But there is in arc. Okay,
There's
so no artillery
no
in arc.
anywhere. 'Cause nobody's
Yeah,
unlevered fire.
so basically, and they're stoic, so I guess that's
No,
+2.
Stoic only matters.
Oh yeah,
when
they're
you're
on defend.
order.
So I'm still at just a +1. +1 as well. So once again, don't fail me, dice. Oh, this time they failed me. So that's a 4. That's actually a failure in a very big way. That's actually a big one. So it says here, if I have irregulars or impetuous, which I don't, cavalry may evade. My artillery retires half 1 dice 6. They weren't engaged in that, so what do you think? Would they stay where they are? Because they weren't actually near the fight?
I don't know. I mean,
They're actually kind of already back there, or maybe there's...
Retires would mean they would pick up and go to the reformation area. As part of that formation.
My reformation area shifted forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Because they were...
I would say...
Should we roll for it? Like a 3, or like a 4, 5, 6, they pick up and go, or 1, 2, 3, they say, well, that's them up there. We're back here.
To devil with them. Doesn't make a difference. So this is one where you put your narrative hat on. What's the narrative? If I'm not there up at the firing line per se,
yeah,
you'd have to start calling out, well, just how close do they have to be? What if they were sitting right here and they weren't necessarily involved? Is that too close? What if they were here? What if they were still in the reformation area? If they were, they would still retire, wouldn't they?
What's the... Artillery's out to 12, skirmishing's out to 6 inches. What if we said, okay, now clearly this is in my favor and they're outside that 6 inches, but if you were to say anything within 6 inches of that skirmish, then they could probably bug out, because that's how far the bullets didn't reach them.
Yeah, but the narrative would be, if they're seeing their guys take casualties, what do they do? What do they think?
I'm thinking they're so far back, they're like, well, we're going to shoot. Oh, well, you know, my artillery, hey, you know, but they'd be shooting through their own people.
Yeah, they have to have a
So, yeah, they can't. So they're, yeah, that's tough. If you're going narratively, well, I tell you what
did they say?
The rule says half of 1 dice 6 battery, so 1 is going to retire. I would say if you fit the narrative to the rule, they're going to see some of their buddies dying. They realize they're not in an optimal firing position to provide support, so they feel like, yeah, this isn't working for us.
This isn't a good place. Let's get back.
Let's go ahead and get back.
So I would agree with that. I think that's a good narrative.
So the retire, if I remember correctly, is they do go back. So they limber up.
Yep.
The horses come back, pull them back. Now he'll have to be rallied to come back. And then the next part of that is they gain +2 fatigue. So the first fatigue of the game has been applied to the Russians. So let's find the little paper. And we will officially record that in their war journal here. And that was the 2nd Division. That was actually my stronger of the 2 divisions, is now
Well, I think that's
+2.
not the stronger of the 2 divisions. There's
Well,
only 4 battalions in that division.
That's true. I'm only looking at the leader rating. But yeah, it's a small group. That probably wasn't smart bringing them up, but you know, we're vodka infused. Yeah. We're giving the fans something to watch. They're fighting. All right. Well,
All right.
that's that.
This is good from a French perspective, because going into this fight now, we're infantry fighting infantry, and for 2 fatigue, there's a -1.
Yep.
To
That
the roll. So
already
that worked out for the French.
worked out real good.
It also worked out for the battery to retire, because your fatigue threshold was 5 with the battery still out there.
Yeah.
But when it retires, it's no longer a deployed unit. So
Right.
now
Let's
your fatigue threshold
Let's show what people
4.
are talking about. Yep, because they're no longer a deployed unit kind of a thing. So yeah, if I get much more fatigue, they could bug out from that. So yeah, that definitely worked out in the favor of the French this time around. So I will give you that. Okay.
All right. I think there's no more firing going on here. And we're going to move over to order conversion at the top of the combat phase, and I've got really nothing.
No, I'm still not there
I
yet.
sort of have nothing to convert, but you know what? The cavalry is on a support
Yes.
who can convert to an attack. Well, I don't know if it's like worth throwing, and this gets